The true, authentic wild is this deep undercurrent. No matter what's going on, it's just like this steady flow within you that when you're connected in, it's actually very peaceful despite whatever energy is going on. It's because it's connected back into this underlying current of your wild that's actually very peaceful and just natural.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hi, listener. It's your host, Lara Jane, and I am so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Kirsten. She is a yoga instructor and is going to teach us how to turn up the volume of our intuition so that we can start living our best life. And I'm so excited to have Kirsten on. All of her bio, how to get a hold of her, and everything are in the show notes already for you. So we don't have to take up your drive time. Kirsten's history. So Kirsten, talk to me about intuition. I know sometimes I ignore it. So how on those times can I start turning up the volume and start listening?
Wonderful. And thank you, Laura Jane, for having me here. I'm excited to share with your audience here. The number one thing that I like to talk about with intuition is that it's really always there. It's just like you say, we need to turn the volume up. We need to listen in, and we really have all of those answers within us. So kind of a quick example for you is when you are trying to make a big decision and you ask somebody else's opinion, or maybe it's not a big decision. Maybe it's, should I wear the blue dress or the red dress? And the person says the blue dress and you're like, oh no, I want the red dress. Like you already know that answer, but you're like trying to find some kind of outside validation. And then when it doesn't come, you automatically know, you can feel it that, nope, that's not right. And so a really important thing in order to connect in with our intuition and really our gut is to be able to start listening and start developing. And so as a yoga instructor, I'm super passionate about the first approach into listening to that intuition is starting with our physical body. So our physical body is always sending us signals, always telling us things that we need, right? We have learned from a young child that we have this feeling in our stomach, and that means we're hungry and we need food, and we go to find food. And so using yoga to utilize something very similar, we are taught how to listen into those messages that our body is giving us. So another big example, right? When we are children, we are starting to become toilet trained out of our diapers, and babies, they don't know that there's this signal in their body that means it's time to go into the restroom and take care of things. And that is something that we have to be taught. We're always telling small children, like, listen to your body. What is your body saying? And then we kind of lose that connection, right? As we grow and as we age and we have our basic needs that we have listened to in our body, and everything else has gone to the wayside. So our yoga practice, really what it is about bringing awareness. So taking that moment to get calm, to listen in, to say, how is my body feeling today? What is something that I need that's going to make me feel better, or something that's going to give me peace? And so when we start to connect in with that physical, bringing that awareness to the physical, once we have developed that, then we can start getting deeper into what are the messages my heart's telling me, my mind telling me, and we can start listening to those stronger signals. But it really starts with really bringing that awareness.
I love the awareness. And one of the things that I also have learned is that sometimes even though we heard it, we think we know better and we do it our own way. And I'm like, warning, if you keep ignoring it, you're going to not know how so powerful and beautiful it can be. So do you have a way of helping us not ignore it?
Yes. So it all starts with that awareness, like I said, and starting to build that practice. But the reason that we're not listening to it is we don't trust it, right? And we don't trust ourselves. And we don't do that for a number of reasons, most notably because we don't follow through on the promises ourselves. So think about it this way. Think about you're going to go make plans with a new friend, right? A new acquaintance that you've made. And hey, tomorrow let's meet at noon for lunch. And they show up and you're like, okay, great. I can trust this person. Let's try it again next week, Tuesday at noon. And they show up and they are starting to build that trust. And you realize they're going to show up for you. Now, think about how many times you said, tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up a half an hour earlier and go for a walk around the block. Or tomorrow I'm going to take those 5 minutes and not scroll on my phone and do something else. And then when it comes down to it, we don't hold ourselves accountable. We don't show up for ourselves. And so we're further dividing that trust that we have with ourselves. If someone else were to come into our life and say, let's meet tomorrow at noon, and they don't show up, and then you're like, okay, let me try again next week, and they don't show up or they have excuses or whatever, you're not going to trust them and you're not really going to listen to their opinion because it doesn't really matter to you because they've shown that you can't trust them. And so how many times pause and think and reflect? I think that journaling is a really important and easy tool to use for this, to stop and think about how many times we make ourselves these promises and we ask ourselves to trust ourselves and then we don't follow through. And what that's really doing is pulling us further and further from our intuition because we're hearing it, but we're not trusting it because what reason would we have? Because we don't trust ourselves.
That makes me think, and this is not new concept overall, but a new concept in the niche that I try to do is being your own best friend. I've always thought about it in the way we talk to ourselves, but I forgot this amazing, super important part of showing up and following through. We would never do that to a best friend. If we changed our mind or we had something come in, we would let them know, but we leave ourselves, I said I was getting up, but I changed my mind. I'm going back to sleep. You're not there for us. So I love that. It's broadened my idea of ways of being your own best friend. And once we start taking our own self as a priority and we are that important, we do start naturally living our best life. And you have a thing about that being wild or being that authentic self. And I'm wondering, all of this intuition hits right back down to that. And so I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. So before we dive into that, let's get really clear on the definition of what wild is, right? So wild really just means our true authentic self, thinking about how we are naturally without society's expectations, our family's expectations, as well as the own limits that society and other people put upon ourselves. It's just our true innate nature. I think that we are closest to our wild self when we are children before we start learning these things. Wild is really going out into nature. It's not a dark, deep, scary, crazy witch lady. It's this thing that's inside all of us. And it's just really what's at our core. So if we were to really tap into that intuition, really connect in, it's what our true knowing is. It's our truest, deepest desires. And when we reclaim that for ourselves, when we re-listen to our intuition, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what they say about what we do because we know it is true and it is pure, exactly how we are and exactly what our authentic self is. So that is what wild means to me. Just a little bit of background. My last name is Wild. It is Wild for a reason. I chose it for myself. I was previously married and I had been in a codependent relationship and with an alcoholic, drug addict, and I had completely lost myself. I had no idea who I was anymore. And I didn't even realize I had done it because I had lost that trust with my intuition. If I would have listened to it, I would have never been in the relationship to start with, but I had kind of buried it down deep, right? And once my eyes were kind of opened, and yoga was a huge part of that for me personally, I was able to realize okay, this is not my true authentic self and I want it to be. And so kind of reclaiming that wild for me, part of that process was when I was given the option to change my name back to my maiden name. I chose Wild instead, so I could always remind myself to really listen in and connect in with that wild.
I love it. I mean, I put tattoos on my body to remind me of those things. Why not have it be your name? That is amazing. I love it. So it is really a tough change to go from a very codependent into being that wild. And yes, I think that the word wild can have that negative feeling inside of you if we're misusing it. Like when the kids are running around crazy, we go, oh, they're wild. No, they're being free. They're being authentic. They're having fun. But we associate that with kind of this crazy, I'm getting all hyped up. But if you think about it, the whales, the fish, the trees, none of them are hyped up and running around and being crazy. Even the most aggressive animals that you know aren't running around crazy like our kids. So it's like, let's think of this as this natural balance of human or earthly life that happens naturally because we're authentic.
Yeah. And on that note of like crazy versus gentle, I actually think the true, authentic, like wild is this just like deep undercurrent, right? No matter what's going on, it's just like this kind of steady flow within you that when you're connected in, it's actually very calm, very peaceful, despite, whatever energy is going on, despite that you're really excited for something. It's because it's connected back into this underlying current of your wild that's actually very peaceful and very calm and just very as it is, just natural.
Yeah, I love how words can make such a different feeling. And the words that make me feel calm and relaxed aren't always the same that make somebody else calm and relaxed. If you say the word love, to me, it's warm and gentle. To another person, it's demanding and controlling because of our experiences and our backgrounds. So we're going to take a quick break from our sponsor and have a word from our sponsor. And then when we come back, I want to just experiment a little bit more with this changing our philosophy and how we think of things for that more peaceful. If someone says wild, how do we kind of let that be that peaceful, calm, authentic? So let's take a break. Be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
Kirsten, this is just such an exciting topic. I've loved the few things we've covered already, the pieces about listening to our intuition and how to feel those in our bodies and start making good choices, the how to be authentic and wild, and your own ability to be yourself without all the restrictions. But when we don't understand that next step, how do we get there?
Right. Wonderful. Thank you. So, yeah, that next step, like I mentioned earlier, we can't make any kind of change. We can't really get anywhere until we bring that awareness. We start becoming aware of what our natural patterns are, what our natural thoughts are, when we're listening in, when we're not. And we can't do any of that, right, until we get a regulated nervous system. We get into a space where we do have a natural method of breathing, natural just ease. And so in order to get into that space, my very best tip is to start journaling, start connecting in, bringing that awareness. The one tip that I really love to share is something called the PIES method, PIES. And it's just a moment of awareness to tap into what's going on. And by journaling it each day, maybe at the same time, maybe different, we can take notice of what's going on in our lives and how that's affecting our awareness. So what that looks like is each of those letters stands for something different. So P stands for physical. How do I feel in my physical body? And here we're just bringing awareness, no judgment. So how do we feel physically? It could be a sensation in our body. It could be our energy level. I is intellectual. So what's on your mind at that moment? Are you thinking about the past? Are you ruminating about something that already happened? Are your thoughts in the future? Are they on a to-do list? What's on your mind? E is emotional. So again, without judgment, what am I feeling? And then finally, S is spiritual. How am I feeling connected? For those of you who pertain to or subscribe to a religion, it could be something religious. If you don't, for me, it's all about my connection. And to simplify it even further, you can just make it about your breath. How is my breath? How am I feeling connected to my breath? Our breath is our life force, right? It keeps us going all day long, even when we don't notice it. So how is your breath? And so journaling these each day, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, and then being able to take a look back and going, okay, what's going on in my life and how are these things affecting each other? So I'm feeling in my physical body, I notice my back is like really hurting. I notice that my mind is on one particular worry that I have about my kid doing this at school. Emotionally, I'm feeling like frustrated and anxious. And spiritually, I haven't noticed my breath all day. How are those all relating? And then you can start to realize and understand the patterns. Again, just bringing that simple awareness, not being able to make any kind of change until we're aware. There's nothing that we can do to change anything in this world until we bring that awareness and start noticing what's going
I love that. I know that's kind of that mindful idea and technique, or that being present. And it's really totally embracing the now without thinking about the past and thinking about the future and all the other things. But right now, how do I feel? Right now, what is my physical body telling me? Is it telling me I need a break? Is it telling me I need to get up and move? What is it like doing? And then intellectually, how am I thinking? What are those thoughts that are going through my body? And I love the emotional part, because where is this pulling my energy level? Because I look at a lot of our emotions as just a different level in our energy of, I'm happy, I've got this high vibrational energy going on, or I'm really frustrated and sad and I have this lower, and it's all good. It's just a different energy level. So adding that to your
Exactly.
thought process of, how am I emotionally and what does that feel like? And then spiritually, and I love how you called that the breath, because I love the breath. And we just do it. It keeps us alive. But when you actually tune into it and do a few controlled breaths, it totally changes your whole. Well, it gets me out of my mind. That's the whole reason I do it, is because I get so into my brain and I forget to just let life happen. And breathing reminds me to let life happen. So I love this pie. I'm going to now say I can have pie every day and it's not going to up my calorie count.
And it's going to do wonders for you rather than make you feel sluggish, right?
No, it's beautiful. I have not heard it before. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're so very welcome.
And when you sit down to do your journaling every day, I love journaling. To me, it's meditation. And I know some people don't put it in that category, but most meditators do. And if you add this pie thing behind it, it is even more obvious that it is a meditation, because the whole thing, the whole reason to meditate is to be in the now, to be here. And so as we get into that now, and we start listening to our intuition and we start following it, not just listening, how do we then move to our dream life?
So it's like this ladder effect, right? So first comes awareness and listening, and then this experimentation of, okay, what do these signals mean? Let me see how we respond, right? And from there, we're building that trust with ourselves because we're showing up, we're bringing awareness, we're becoming present. And from there, we're building this trust, we're building our self-confidence, we're building our bravery. And the more that we dig in, the more that we do and show up for ourselves, the more we just kind of have this natural sense and we realize there's something for me. And I have proven to myself that I can do the work. And I have proven to myself that I can make a change by bringing that awareness and starting to experiment, right? And so what else can I do? We start to dig deeper. We start to find out what that dream is. We start to play with what brings me joy, right? And say yes to it. And at that point, we've developed this self-worth because we've shown up for ourselves. We're able to say yes to those opportunities. And the more times that we say yes to those opportunities, the more joy we get and the more we want more of it. And that is really not only influencing our own lives, everyone around us that is witnessing, and it is spreading out this joy, right, in these infinite amounts. And you realize, I've got these dreams and I want to go after it. And you've built that strong base. You've built that self-confidence. You've built that bravery that you're ready to take those leaps. You're ready to build and change and make whatever that dream is that's possible for you. Despite people telling you that that's crazy, despite people, maybe looking down, you realize like, okay, those people don't know though. I know because I've learned how to listen in. And so they couldn't possibly know. I can't know for you, Laura Jane, right? Because I have no idea what you feel inside. And so being able to really connect and build that intuition, it's really that base for, okay, what can I do next? Because I know it is the right decision because I've built this trust over all this time.
I love taking back that control. I mean, it is control, and we expect somebody else to tell us how to do, think, act, and be, we've lost control of our lives. And it's time to step back in and to grab those reins and start paying attention. Let's train ourselves to be the best us we can be. And really, the training is letting go of all the caged crap that happened all through our lives that have made us hold back, sit back, and not want to share. And we're so afraid of not being liked. But I honestly think once you start doing this for a while, you're going to start liking this real person in you, and it's not going to feel odd. It is a process, and it does take some faith, and you do have to start. It doesn't happen to everybody overnight. Yes, there have been some people that have changed overnight. I wasn't one of them. I like baby steps. So I'm just wondering if there's any last amounts of wisdom or insight that you would like to share with our listener today that can help them hold on to this and use it in their daily lives.
Thank you. I think what you just mentioned about this idea of control, right? We are not in control of so many things. We are not in control of other people's reactions to us, other people's choices, life events sometimes that happen to us, things that we did not ask for. These things come into our lives and we don't have control over whether they happen or not. But what we do have control over is how we decide to respond and how we decide to react. And while at first it feels like this overwhelming of what, you're telling me I don't have any control? At first that might feel alarming and scary because we're human beings and we like to control, right? But at the same time, it's absolutely freeing because you realize, okay, all I can do is what's best for me. And I'm hoping that's what's best for everyone else, but I can't control whether they make that decision or not. I can't control whether this life thing happens to me, but I can control how I respond, how I show up in the world, and how I show up for myself. And once you have that, anything is possible. And I think it just radiates to everybody else, and you're just going to inspire so many other people by just following your true path.
And as you become your own self, it inspires others to be okay with being them. And it's that piece of inspiration that will change the world. But because we've all had different upbringings and because we've all had different things we've experienced, our triggers are different and our responses have been trained different. And I might trigger one person in a very frustrating, negative, they go downstream, and another person, the exact same thing, is inspired and moving on. We, like you said, we cannot be responsible for somebody else's response, but we are responsible for our own response. And we cannot let those external things that aren't perfect in our mind change the way we respond. And we can always respond in a kind, friendly manner. So I love the message that you've brought to us about listening to our intuition and understanding where it's coming from so that we can be that best person. That ability to be wild and free. And I love the pie. I now get pie every day. Even though I journal every day, now it's going to be my pie day. And I'm excited to have it. You know, that way of really tuning into all of the different senses of our body and our thoughts and our process to be present. And when we be present with a heart of gratitude, we change the world. And so thank you for your message that will change the world.
Thank you.
Kirsten and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment purposes. The full medical disclosure is in the show notes in case you want to see that. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.